Hello, my name is Nell and I have things to say about disability, chronic illness and mental health. I have been living with these things for a very long time and it's become my passion and I guess my purpose to speak about these things, partly to connect with other people who have been living with these things, whether it's for a very long time or whether they have just started this journey and might benefit from some advice and some encouragement from somebody who's been on the road a little longer than they have. But I also talk about it to reach out to people who are on the outside looking in and who have no idea what it's like to be wandering this road, and to hopefully offer them some insight and understanding. If that sounds like something that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel. Come back every Wednesday when I upload new videos. Let me know what you think of my videos in the comments section. And if you know of somebody who would benefit from my videos, whether they are on this journey or not, please feel free to share a link with them. I have been struggling with mental health issues for a very long time. There is a strong case to be made for genetic predisposition for me, and a lot of the environments and situations I found myself in have meant that my mental illness has absolutely flourished. There have been times when it's ruined and ruled my life, and it has seemed like an insurmountable mountain that I would never get over, that I would never get control of. But I've come a long way with it. And I don't think I realized how far I've come. But I realized it the other day. I've recently taken on a new support worker, and she was doing a buddy shift, and I had a worker with me who has been with me for 5 years. And we were going through some paperwork, and I came to my mental health support plan, which is a document that I wrote. And if you have mental health issues and you have a support worker, I encourage you to write your own plan. Don't rely on the forms that they give you where you just like fill in the blanks or do multiple choice. I encourage you to write and describe your own needs yourself in your own words. We were going through my mental health support plan where I describe the signs of my anxiety, the signs of my depression, what to say, what not to say, what to do in the case of self-harm, what to do in the case of me being very listless and nonverbal, even if I'm borderline catatonic. All of these things to do in case of mental health emergencies kind of thing. And I was looking at my worker who's been with me for a long time, and I said, we barely have to rely on this at all. We barely have to refer to this. She said the main things that come up now is that she looks at me and she checks to see if my lips are bleeding or if my fingernails are bleeding, because those are two big signs of my anxiety, is that I'll pull at my lips and I'll pull at my fingernails. But a lot of the things, if I'm rocking uncontrollably, if I'm repeating phrases over and over again, if I'm wringing my hands over and over, a lot of those signs don't come up anymore. My workers don't notice them because I'm not really doing them. Even things like what to do if Nell is non-responsive and non-verbal. It's put on a couple of these DVDs and go talk to my mother. We don't have to do that. We haven't had to do that for a long time. We even explained to this worker that when this long-term worker first arrived, I did not speak to her for 6 months. When she and the other worker first started with me, I refused to speak for 6 months. I spoke through my mother. My mother would say, Natalie would like to do this, Natalie would like to do that. After 6 months, my mother would say, Natalie agrees to speak to you for 5 minutes. So I'd speak to this lady for 5 minutes and then go into what we call turtle mode, my little shell of safety, and that was a sign for my worker to be like, okay, we'll see you later. My social anxiety was so severe that I refused to speak to somebody for six months. It's so interesting to look back and see how far I've come. It's important to do that. And it means that improvement is possible. Coming a long way is actually possible. I would not have believed that years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, definitely not. I have a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. And I'm considered as close to in remission as you can have from a personality disorder, meaning that it is managed, it is well managed. I have a diagnosis of paranoid psychosis, and I've not had an episode in a long time. I have a diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. I still have signs of that, but it is not as severe. I can actually eat chips with my bare hands now. I used to only be able to do that with tweezers. Major depressive disorder, anxiety. A lot of these still affect my life, but not in severe ways. 10 years ago, when I would peek out through my curtains and be convinced that my neighbor was staring at me, when I would scream at night because I was sure that my bed was full of spiders, when I thought my mum was poisoning me because she used a different flavor of chocolate because of my paranoia, when my personality disorder was so out of control that my mother would arrive at my house and she did not know which me was going to answer the door. When every day my lips would be shredded, my fingers would be bleeding because I was constantly picking. When I just had scars on my arms, always something fresh on my arms. When the default setting for my brain was suicidal ideation. At that point, I could not have known that progress was possible. And now I'm looking back and seeing how far I've come. And it's important to note that I am still in the hole. I'm still very much in the hole of mental illness, but I'm not as far deeply in the hole as I was before. And sometimes you're looking up and you can still think, I'm not fully in the sunlight, but please know that you are still further up in the hole than you might have been a few years ago. Progress is possible. I did not think it was. I did not think it was, but it is. I'm telling you it is. I have an excellent therapist. Finding a good therapist is key. I am very fortunate in that my therapist is funded by the NDIS. I am on very good medication, an excellent medication regime, and I have a good support network. I am very privileged with all three of those things. But progress is possible, and I have come a long way, and I am rejoicing in that. It's possible. It's possible. I wish I could tell myself 10 years ago that it's possible. Hold on, because it's possible. All right. That's all for this one. Bless.